Tara, and I'm so excited for today's space because, oh my goodness, this one is really amazing. We have a whole bunch of fic writers that are coming on, and I'm so excited to talk with them because like their writing is just really, really good. So all of their fics are linked on my Twitter page, and I'll be sharing them also in this space. So as we're just getting things set up, let me go ahead and make people some speakers. And as always, we are saying to the rooftops, hey Disney, hey Star Wars, hey Lucasfilm, we really love The Acolyte. It's an amazing show. The more people watch it, the more people love it. And we really want you to renew the show for a whole bunch of seasons because it really just gets our juices flowing. We get really, really creatively inspired. Um, and it just like gets all of our imagination flowing around this. So it's worth renewing. We want to see more of it. We want to see everyone come back. We want to see Leslie come back and Amandla and I want to call him Kamir, Manny. We want to see everyone that's still alive come back because they were perfect. No need to
And
change.
everybody who's not alive. Screw it. Give us some flashbacks.
Right. And we need some flashbacks as well. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm all about that. So yeah, hey everybody. Thanks for coming on. I think the live stream is going good this time on YouTube. So yeah. Don't forget to okay. And so yeah, cool. So again, welcome to this space. We have a whole bunch of the writers on with us right now. We're gonna dive right into it. And I am super excited for this week's space. We have the fanfic writers, and we're gonna start off with JCW Dad. I'm gonna link his fic in the space in just a second. And JCW Dad, if you want to talk to us about your fic and why did you write it? Oh, is he having connection problems? At the exact wrong time. Okay, if we can't stay connected to him, then we might move on to the next person and come back to him. Hey, are you back, JCW?
Yeah, sorry, I'm on the road, so you might have lost.
Okay, no worries. You're kind of dropping in and out. Maybe we should go to the next person and then we'll come back to you. Or are you ready to go?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, let's come back to me.
Okay, perfect.
I am here, but like I said, I'm on the road and I'm in kind of a dead spot. So give me like 10 minutes. I'll be talkable.
All right, awesome. Okay, we'll come back to you. Freckles, are you ready to speak?
Yes, I was not ready to go first though, but
I know, I'm sorry I put you on the spot.
no, it's cool.
So yeah, so everyone's fics were amazing. I'm gonna say to everybody, I really loved your fic. I really loved your fic. Reading it was like, oh, it's so immersive. It's so great. Tell us about it and why did you write it? And I'm gonna link it in the space.
Okay, so I didn't even think to like remember what the summary was, so it might be a little jumpy. But so the fic that I picked was Chaos Reigns, and it's very similar to canon as far as like how the story flows and
Mm-hmm.
Osha being on this journey. Like after something happens to her, she learns the truth, and like she just I'm speaking very vaguely because I don't want to give it away if nobody's read it yet. But she goes on this journey after meeting Chimere And so it's pretty similar to canon. Some differences, some of the things that I want to see in subsequent seasons, I'll kind of flesh out here. So
Mhm.
kind of the twins and their what will happen to them. I've included that, like how I would want to see it, or one of the ways I
Mhm.
want to see it. Yeah, and we get some training, and her and Chimera getting closer, all that stuff that we kind of all want to see in subsequent seasons.
Mhm.
That's in there. So I'm being super vague. Sorry about that, but I don't want to spoil it. So
I'm gonna dive into a little bit of detail. I don't want to give away, things that happen, but we do wanna dive into the details.
okay.
And we know that you're a prolific writer, so you'll have a bunch of stuff for us. But so this one was an alternate universe fic, and you have this whole thing of like chaos witches. It's super cool, and so it's not quite like the Star Wars universe. Can you tell us some more about that and like what's inspiring this universe and what's inspiring the connections?
So I like the Vampire Diaries and stuff like that. So it's kind of a similar
Mhm.
world as that, where you have different types of magic users. Some are kind of demonized, others are not. So that was kind of the like Jedi witch tie-in there. Um,
Mhm.
so different types of magic, different effects on the users, and it goes into to that a little bit. As far as what inspired me to write the fic, so I wrote chapter one as part of Ocean Mirror Week, and then I went back and read it, and I was like, oh, there's just so much more here that I kind of want to play with. And again, I wanted to flesh
Mm.
out like what I wanted to see in subsequent seasons. So I was like, oh, this seems like a good place to do it. So I just kept adding on to it. But specifically, it was a song that inspired me to write the whole thing, or the first chapter, I should say. And
Mm.
it's this song by Kiana Lede called Magic. And
Mhm.
two of the lines in it is one of them is, "Baby, we can make some magic," and that made me think of Ocean Mirror, of course, because they come together and make magic.
Mm.
But then there's this other line where it's like, "We can burn it all," and so that's really where my mind went. Is like, I want to see them burn it all in canon, and I just wrote it in my fic. Like they burn it all. It's great. I
Mm.
love it.
Mm. Yeah, that's fantastic.
I think I saw an edit. I think I saw an edit to this song, if I'm not mistaken. Was that part of your inspo too?
No, I didn't see the edit, but now I want to. Because like when I heard it, I immediately thought of them. I was like, oh yeah, I gotta write this.
That's awesome. JCW, you should link the edit if you come across it so we can watch it. You can link it after the space. But yeah, I definitely want to hear
I'll
the
definitely see if
song.
I can find it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, so Freckles, tell us, this is one, I sent you all the questions before we started the space, but I thought of one more that I wanted to ask, which was, what was your favorite scene to write in this book?
Ooh, ooh, that's hard. Um, there's a scene in where they meet another witch, and it's in like a essentially like an occult shop. I love that scene
Mhm,
because you kind of see Osha leaning into her darkness, but she's still a little coy about it. But
mhm.
she goes like full into it. Like it again. I don't want to give too much away if you haven't read it, but yeah.
Well, yeah, give us a little
Okay,
taste. You
so
don't have
she
to
like
like,
basically like tortures this witch for information, and she
uh-huh.
just goes right into it. Like that's not the part she hesitates about, which I loved because I love Dark
Mm,
Osa. Like I want her full on evil.
wow. That's, I love it. I love it. So you like really wanted to dive into the, like you said, burn it all, like go full on evil. You're like really digging that.
Yeah, and I know we were talking a little bit last week about just how you experience and create through your purview and through your lens. And I think
Hmm.
specifically, like as a Black woman, I like to celebrate feminine rage because a lot
Mm,
of times you don't get to express that. But I think it's not only is it appropriate, but it is key to your healing. So
mm,
anytime like I can just see a full on like evil female character, I love it. Especially when it's
mm.
justified. It doesn't have to be, but especially when it is. I love that. So
Yeah. Are there,
That would. A lot of
say
folks
again?
that's the point too. I think a lot of people forgot that's the point of the story too. She fell. She's evil, so I like
Yep,
that.
exactly.
Mm-hmm. Um, yeah, totally agree. That's the point of the story is that like she fell and she's supposed to be evil, but evil's all subjective,
Right.
right? So are there other, just like kind of riffing off of what you're talking about, are there other characters in fiction that like kind of do that sort of evil for you too, that you're just like, oh, I love how evil this person is?
Probably. And see, I don't want to call her evil because she's not really evil to me, but I guess in the first movie, Maleficent,
Mm-hmm.
so she's one that comes to mind. Also, the evil queen on what's the show? The fairy tale show, Once Upon a Time.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yes, I love a female villain.
Oh,
Like,
that
I
show
love,
is so underrated.
it's
So
so good.
underrated.
It was really good until it wasn't, but then I still didn't care. I was still watching it. So
Yes. Yes. Yeah, somewhere around like season 4 or 5, it was like, okay, this y'all ran out of ideas.
I was like, this is kind of off the rails, but I'm not gonna say that out loud because nobody can talk shit about the show. To me. It got a little bad, but it's okay. It's okay. We still loved it.
And so could you like so we get like a more of a look into your mind and like how your mind is working when you're reading your fics. What's the common thread of like this evil between these characters like Maleficent and how you portrayed like Osha in your story? What do you want, how do you want them to be evil? Like what is the most tastiest way that they can be evil for you?
I Well, one, I like when they get revenge on the person that did it, but I also like when it
Mm,
doesn't stop there.
mm,
Like,
mm,
I want them to keep going because,
mm-hmm,
of course, like that person wasn't the only person, but at the same time, it's like you don't get to you don't get to rein me in when you've done this to me. Like you have to deal with the
mm,
monster you created, and I'm a monster
mm.
now, so deal with it.
Yes. So just totally busting loose and having that moment that kind of turns you over, but you just keep going. You don't go back.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that's I'm totally on board with that. Totally on board.
Yeah, I like that because a lot of the time, characters on revenge stories have like that's their primary motivation, and then once that's done, it's done. The story's done. But I like the idea of it continuing to be a motivation for a character, like going forward.
Hmm. Hmm. Yes, exactly. Um, so for this fic, for your other fics, what do you want the audience to take away when they're reading? What do you want them to feel?
Um, I don't know. That depends on the fic, but
Mm-hmm.
I I want them to have. Well, again, depends on the fic. I was gonna say I want them to have a good time, but sometimes I want you to cry. I don't know.
Mm,
Yeah, it just
yeah.
depends. Um, for this one, I want you to feel that. Actually, mm, that's hard. That's a hard question. I want you to feel like kind of a. I want you to feel satisfied at the end of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because there is a huge element of satisfaction, especially with the last chapter. I think it wrapped it up pretty well. It could continue, so I might make it a series, but it'll be like kind of different. But I want you to feel satisfied.
I feel that. What is I don't want to put you on the spot, but what does satisfaction mean for you? Like what is that getting at?
Like you feel like the characters who deserved something got it,
Mm. Mm-hmm.
whether it's good or bad.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I love it. And what are you working on next? Is it like this same fic or different fic?
No, so I'm very excited. I'm in the middle of my Bridgerton AU fic. I posted chapter 3 today. 3 out of 10. So I still
Oh,
got
nice.
quite a ways to go, but I'm having fun with that one. So
Amazing. Love it. All right, awesome. We might come back to you later, so stick around and feel free to comment on other people's, questions when we're talking. But yeah, thank you, Freckles. Everybody give Freckles a round of applause. um, yeah, thank you. Thank you. All right. Okay, so next we're gonna go to Satal. Is Satal here?
Can you
Oh
guys
yeah.
hear me?
Yeah. Hey, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Doing awesome. Doing awesome. And so, like I said, I'm gonna say this to everybody. I loved your fic. It was really great. We bleed the same. I just love this whole soulmate thing, very like twin flame vibes. So I was really digging it. So tell us about the fic and why did you write it?
So I can't take credit for this one. This one was written off of a prompt. So it was actually somebody else came up with the idea for it. But the general concept was soulmates who share marks on their bodies. And
Mhm.
so obviously we all know that both Chimere and Osha have very distinctive markings. And obviously that Chimere's is extremely important to who he is. I mean, as far as we can make that assumption, that
Mhm.
that is a large part of his story. And so to then have Osha with, the age difference between them, receiving that scar, um, and having that knowledge that this is something that happened to her soulmate, I thought that was
Mhm.
really fascinating. Um, and also just the various ways that knowing that they each had a soulmate based off of what we do know of what happened to them in canon, how that could
Mhm.
impact what those experiences were like for them. It was just super, super fascinating to me. So I did want to take the opportunity to write that. And it's been a really, really fun experience so far.
Amazing. I love it. Like the way that you go back and forth between them in the fic is so it really draws you. It's really dramatic. And I think that's a really good writing style that you use here. So tell us some more about like your inspirations for like how you're writing this or how their characters are interacting with each other. What was inspiring you?
So for this, I mean, obviously because it is canon divergent, like I wanted to, look at the story that we already have and see how this link between them would change those interactions. And I know that sometimes we all have our headcanons about why the characters did things the way that they did, and that's not always going to line up in fic. But I think that with having that soulmate aspect, it allowed me to explore things in a really interesting direction,
Mm-hmm.
and to sort of look at those scenes and reimagine like what their thought processes would have been and why they made the choices that they did.
Mm-hmm. Cool. What was your favorite scene to write in this?
So the part from episode 6 where he's in the water and he gets
Mm-hmm.
out and she sees that he has his tattoo, her tattoo, and so she
Mm-hmm.
can't deny anymore at that point that they're soulmates, and she has to start processing that. That was my favorite part.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Awesome. I do want to pause. If anyone has any questions, you can make a comment into the tweet here. You can also request to speak and ask a question to either of these ladies here. Let me check on, yes. Um, so yeah, I always have one tweet. Let me see what this is about. Oh yeah, love that scene so much, says Tove Psycho. Yeah, so good. Um, what did you want the audience to take away from reading this?
Well, so it's still a work in progress, and I'm going to be honest, I don't know absolutely everything that I'm doing with it yet. So I don't know
Mhm.
what the ultimate conclusion is going to be. It's going to be a happy ending because I only write happy endings. Um, but I mean, in general, with my work, like I'm very interested in the obviously the relationship and the romance between Osha and Chimere and the way that they really understand each other. That's one of the most amazing things about this property, the story that Leslie wrote.
Mhm.
It's just this incredible understanding that these two characters have for each other, particularly for someone like Osha, who is repressed and has been struggling to find her place in the world, and then to have somebody like Chimere who just gets her on that soul deep level, like that's just I love that so much, and I try to put that into all of my fics, even the modern AU one shots. Like just the idea of them having that connection is so special. And
Mhm.
so I think just having readers being able to experience that is what I like for them to take away.
Amazing, amazing. Are you big on like romance in
Yeah.
general? Yes. What are your other sorts of your other favorite romance stories?
So I think I don't know that I necessarily like have like specific like romance stories. It's more that I like find the romance in all of the stories. So
Mhm.
whenever I'm watching anything, like I'm obviously I'm always going to pick up a ship from any media. I think that's fairly common in fandom. But like for example, I was very interested in Raylo. I mean, that's a pretty common crossover for people who like Oceanera as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and it was actually I was one of those people who were waiting for the entire season to drop before I was going to watch it, and then I started
Mhm.
seeing the edits on Twitter of. The Kylo Ren theme being played at the end of episode 5. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I have
Oh,
got to find out what's happening here." And so I started
yeah,
watching before the end of the season when I normally would have waited. But that's one example.
amazing. So yeah, I know that whole like the Raylo with the Oceanera, that's such a big crossover between them because it has a whole like enemies to lovers sort of deal, sort of draw. And it's pretty exciting that Leslie kind of brought that back for us.
Yes,
That
absolutely.
was a big, huge
Mhm.
inspiration for her. It was she was writing for people who liked the sequel, that part of the sequel specifically, because she was a fan
Mhm.
like that.
Mhm. Yeah, I just love that they did that, and they're not shying away from the romance aspect in the Acolyte. So, we are gonna get some more. What is your message to Disney and Star Wars about getting a season 2? What would you tell them?
They have to do it. We need
Yeah,
it.
yes, absolutely. High five. I'm all about it. What are you working on right now? What are you working on next?
So obviously, We Bleed the Same is still a work in progress, so that's going on. And then Masterpiece, which is my long fic, is still going on.
Hmm. Cool. Love it. Well, thank you so much for sharing. Please stick around and yeah, hopefully we'll have some more like questions, people that want to say stuff, and you can also jump in too. Everyone give a round of applause to Satal. Love it. Okay.
Hi, so I had some technical difficulties, but I just wanted to say I was rereading Sattle's fic today, and I seriously loved the way they were so much in denial about each other, about the fact that they were soulmates. And then, at the end of chapter 3, you can feel them starting to accept it and starting to see each other as, the partners. I think it was
Agree.
amazing.
100% agree. And
Yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I really love reading these fics that emphasize the Oshimir relationship and capture that emotional aspect, which I think Satal you do really well. Um,
Hmm.
your writing is really there's a lot of emotional content there.
Thank you. It's my
Absolutely.
favorite thing to explore. So
So good. Tove Psycho, you're up next.
Yay!
Hey.
Hi guys. So I guess the first thing is to describe my fic a bit, right?
Yeah, so let's see. You wrote Breathing Together, which was
Yeah.
very passionate, very amazing, very spicy. And I know you were, if I remember correctly, you were nervous about whether you could share this fic. And I was like, hey, it's what the people want.
Yeah.
The people want the spicy meatballs. They want the spicy fic. So we got to give the people what they want. So thank you for
Always.
sharing this one.
But is an essential part of fic writing. Essential.
Yeah, yeah. Actually,
Absolutely.
it's the first time I've ever published smut. So
Wow.
I was nervous about talking about it, and I was nervous about publishing it in the first place
Oh wow.
because I'm basically a noob when it comes to publishing fic on
Mm,
AO3. I used to write fic years and years ago in the good old times of Twilight, but that was completely different, and I was like 12.
mhm.
So all of this is very new and exciting for me.
Well, that's amazing. So Acolyte brought you back into fic
Yeah,
writing?
yeah. Acolyte and also my friend Emma, who
Mm,
is Neon Genesis, is Isis. A lot of
mm,
Isis there. Because she is the person who basically bullied me into writing and
mm,
publishing. So I am forever grateful for her. And the thing about this fic is that it was supposed to be a comfort for me.
mm,
And from the comments I got, it also managed to be a comfort for other people. So this is something that is very important to me. The premise of the fic is actually pretty simple. It is set a few months after the finale,
mhm,
and the inspiration for it was the way Osha reacts to everything that happens to her, the way
mhm,
that you can see, and Amanda's acting is amazing there, but you can see everything that's going on inside her, all of her emotions, but she does not express any of it.
mm,
And from experience, I know that this is something that will really come back to kick you in the ass at some point. And
mhm.
I wanted to see how that would look like for Osha and for Chimere.
Nice. Yeah, I absolutely love how you portray that everything that she's going through, and I thought it was realistic too.
Yeah, well, I did draw from my own experience with panic attacks, so there's that.
Hmm. So, you did mention wanting to provide some comfort and wanting to provide that, like what we see. So, can you talk a little bit more about that, about your motivations behind writing the story?
Yeah, of course. Um, I wanted to dig deeper into Osha, into her emotions, and into the person that she is, because
Mm-hmm.
the show is very limited, as we know, in its run, and we just get glimpses of the characters. We get the teasers of who they are, and we can infer a lot of information from that. But we don't really have the time to explore it. So
Mm-hmm.
and this is a very Osha-centric thing. Like Chimera is there basically as a supporting character, uh, even though it is Oceanmere and it is very much focused on the relationship. I,
As he should be.
yeah, I love Osha. I love Osha as a character. I love Osha as this messy person who has went through so much, and
Mm-hmm.
through all of this she wasn't really able to process it. She wasn't able to grieve for her family. So I wanted to give her that sort of. I wanted
Absolutely.
to I wanted to go into what her life would look like before and after the events of the show. I wanted to give her some more of a backstory, which is why I also added some tidbits about her life as a mechanic, which I thought was really fun. I wanted to know more about the witches because I love the witches, witches. And this is why I also focused a lot and tried to figure out what her life in the keep would look like, what her life on Brandock would look like, what sort of ceremonies other than the ascension the witches would have, and what the everyday would look like. We also here get a tease of that, but we focus more on the whole tragedy, and they wanted to explore a little this everyday life that they would have. So I had Osha talk about it to Chimea, which also served to bring them together, I think, to bring them closer, because they have something so profound, but they don't really know each other. They know each other's souls, but not really, what kind of breakfast you like, what kind of clothing you would like, because they're in this very extreme situation. So they don't get the usual, get to know you talk. And I wanted to give it to them.
Yes, much needed, because we're probably, when we get to season 2, we're going to be waiting for a while, and all of us want to have these details. We want to
Yeah.
have that. We want to like dig into. So I thought that's perfect, what you're giving to the readers here. Talk to us about your writing inspirations. What's inspiring you to write in this way, or do you have like favorite other books or stories that you kind of pulled from this?
Uh, I'm an avid romance reader, so that is
Oh,
definitely an
yes.
inspiration for me. Uh, I do have hyperfixations where I sort of shift between my interests. So aside from romance novels, I also love C-dramas and K-dramas, basically any
Oh,
Asian dramas I can get my hands on. So I think,
absolutely.
this getting into those characters and getting into things that may not be very plot relevant, because the fic doesn't really have a plot. You just have a panic attack. You have, the dry humping session, which is interrupted, coitus
Oh,
interruptus, with Osha's full-on mental breakdown. And then in the second chapter, you have them and the second chapter was mostly written by the time the cancellation news dropped, but it wasn't finished. And with the cancellation, I wasn't sure I would finish it because it wasn't a great time, and I didn't really want to write anything. But I thought that it would be nice to have them, have those cute little moments, have a bonfire, have a shopping trip. And we all know that in Star Wars, a shopping trip can end really badly. uh, so, yeah, this is something that, I pulled from romance novels. I wanted them to have those little moments where their connection can grow deeper.
amazing. I love it. I love that the K-drama connection, because those are so romantic.
And also a shit ton of memes.
Yeah.
Like with the first chapter, I tried to, not be very obvious and rein myself in a bit. But with the second chapter, I went just fuck it. We're doing memes. We're doing the Princess Mononoke scene.
Yeah, I love it. So
And
good.
then with the epilogue, which I posted like just this week, so not everyone might have had the chance to read it, but the epilogue is pure smart. You just have Osha having a little time to herself, which I thought would be nice for her. And then you just have Osha and Kymer going at it because they deserve it. Let's be honest, they deserve an epilogue like that.
I can't wait. I can't wait. What was your favorite scene to write in all of this?
Mm. I was actually so happy when you added this question. There are a lot of people from the Discord here. And my favorite scene to write is one of the first scenes I wrote for this fic. It's the scene where Kaimi takes care of Osha's injured feet.
Mm.
And this is actually the part when I really reined myself in with the memes, because I wrote it, and with the Discord people, we were having a chat about some naughty things, and I just, innocently dropped a fragment of the fic in which I added a line. Let me see if I remember it correctly. I added a line, something along the lines of, "Give me those grippers." And like, it was just a placeholder line.
Mm-hmm.
But I went into a whole debate on whether Kaimi would use the word grippers. The overwhelming consensus was that he would not fucking say that, which is a stupid decision. I reject the council's decision because Kaimi would definitely say that, especially Greasy Kaimi. And I really wanted to channel some of Greasy Kaimi's persona into this version of Kaimi, because I think it's such a lovely character, such a lovely comedic relief. And I really wanted him to come back, even if, we have the stranger revealed. I wanted the stranger, I wanted Kaimir, whatever his fucking name is, I wanted Greasy Kaimir to be a part of him.
That's fantastic. No, Greasy Chimeras, he's charming in his greasy
He
way.
is. Listen, Greasy Kaimir can get it. He
He
can get
can.
it. Like,
He,
the UTI would be horrible, but still worth it.
right, exactly.
He's he's very much a man written from a woman's perspective,
Yeah.
and I think that's a very refreshing take, and I think it's also why so many people hated him, because he's like idealized through women's point of view, So like he like listens to Osha, he's like honest with her, he like cares about her, and all the YouTube dudes are like, what?
Yeah, it's a red flag for them. They're like bulls.
Mm-hmm. Amazing.
I'm
That
glad
was
to
a
see
funny
Greasy
story.
Chimera getting love, because when I read the first hits free, I imagine Greasy Chimera. Just so how I feel about him.
Greasy Kaimir has rights. Let's say it.
He does.
Chimera was definitely written for the girls, gender neutral, the girls.
He was. He was.
He's a good guy. He's a good character. We gotta love. I hope that he comes back in some form. In some
Yeah.
form.
We want those flashbacks. We want those Greasy Chimera and May fucking quarreling through the whole
Absolutely.
galaxy, gallivanting, doing shady stuff.
Absolutely.
And I think Manny's the perfect person for him too, because just watching him and his public appearances, like the dude is amazing.
Yeah.
Like
He really is.
he's so kind. He like pays genuine attention to the people he's talking to. Yeah, I mean he's the perfect person. Leslie cooked with that, with Chimera, the writing of Chimera, and with the casting of Chimera. She cooked for him.
It was the perfect casting. I cannot imagine anyone else as Chimera.
He's so good. What do you want your audience to take away from the read?
Yeah, like I've mentioned before, this was a comfort fic for me, so I want the audience to feel a bit comforted as well. And I think the first chapter is very much a fantasy about what I think we all would like to have if we are in such a difficult position. We want to have a safe place. We want to have someone who will take care of us because they love us and they really, really want to help us through whatever we are going through. And also, to have this reassurance that whatever happened to you, it is not your fault. You are not guilty. Even if you're not the perfect victim or whatever, even if you are angry, even if you are fearful, even whatever your emotions are, they are valid and you are not guilty for having them.
Mm.
And also, I wanted them to at least blush a little. Let's be
Mm-hmm.
honest.
Say that again.
I wanted them to at least blush a little, get all
Oh
hot and
yeah.
bothered.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it is, the smut is an essential part of the healing journey.
Yes, but yeah, 100%, 100%. Keep it real. Please keep it real. Like it does. It's very healing. You think you don't need it, and then you read it, and it's like, hey, I did need this. I needed
Yeah.
this. This is exactly what I needed. So thank you for providing. It's
You're
exactly.
welcome. It was my
Uh,
pleasure.
and tell us what you're working on next.
So actually, I have a whole Google Drive of either half-written works in progress or
Oh,
just,
wonderful.
bullet points of fics. Some are very old from my regular times because back then I was more of a lurker and I had some ideas but never got the courage to write and publish anything. So I
Mm-hmm.
really needed the push from Emma. But I think the one work that might be the next one is a canon verse alternative universe where Osha stays with the Jedi, and she
Mm-hmm.
becomes a good little Jedi Knight who is sent on a mission to investigate the murders,
Mm.
and things like go pretty much similar to the canon, except I wanted to have this long, drawn out. Sort of never-ending battle between Osha and Kymir and the Stranger, and sort of have this dynamic like Obi-Wan and Darth Maul, or I don't know,
Ooh.
Batman and Joker. Except they hate each other so much it kind of goes the full circle into love,
Well,
like a
hey,
good old enemies to lovers.
you don't have to sell us. That sounds great. We're gonna be right there. We're gonna be right there for that.
Yeah, I
That
just
sounds
have to write
amazing.
it, which
Yeah,
is the hard part. I have like 70 songs in my playlist already, and I had a mood board, but the writing is the hard part.
amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. Please stick around and feel free to jump in and comment. And if anyone has any questions, then we'll bring those up as well. Everyone give a round of applause to Tove Psycho. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, guys, for having me.
Okay. All right. Next we have Hayel. Hey, I see you're in the room.
Hey.
Hi. Did I say that correctly? Hayel?
Yeah, it's Hayao.
Hi. Perfect. Thanks so much for coming on. And this is your fic, All My Demons Have Your Smile. So this was another, like I've been saying to everybody, I loved your fic. I really loved your
Thank
fic.
you.
Yes. Just so
Yeah, I hadn't read this one yet, and I really enjoyed the concept and the writing.
You
mhm.
really, really should read this one. I've read it and
Thank
I loved it.
you. Oh my god.
So tell us a little bit about it and why did you write it?
Okay, so it's if you've seen the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once, it's based on that. So it's basically Chimere like trying to find Osha in every universe.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but uh, the thing is they're like in this loop situation, so he also keeps losing her because like she keeps dying.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's about that, like just Chimere trying to constantly like hold on to Osha, and yeah, and like losing her essentially. And what prompted me to write this was because during the time that I posted this fic, there weren't a lot of fics that had like a sad ending or like an
Mm-hmm.
happy ending. And the thing is, I personally love fics that um, have like unhappy endings, stuff like that. So
Mm-hmm.
I really, really wanted to like I really wanted to read a fic that had an unhappy ending, but since no one wrote it, I figured maybe I just do it.
Well, thank you. Yeah, thank you for writing it. Because I love both. I know a lot of us do too. We love the happy endings, but sometimes we do love the bittersweet, kind of really tragic endings that just tug at your heartstrings to say, "Oh crap, this was that was intense." Um,
Yeah, I'm a tragedy guy for sure.
mhm, absolutely. And so you said you had the inspiration of like Everything Everywhere All at Once, which was another movie that like really tugs at you and gets you feeling all those emotions. Um, was it that that movie was just so amazing you wanted to replicate it, or what about that movie and just everything that you consume as far as writing and movies and TV, what inspired you to kind of write this the way that you did?
Well, if you watch the movie,
Mm-hmm.
uh, the mother, I mean the daughter, tries to find the mother in every universe, and everyone doesn't know the reason, whatever. So I just thought that that would resonate with Oshimir
Mm-hmm.
um, because if there's anyone who would like try to find uh someone in every universe just to see them, like just to get a glimpse of them or just to know them,
Mm-hmm.
someone as down bad as that would definitely be
Yeah.
Kyler. Like uh yeah, like someone who genuinely wants to just see or just
Mm.
hold on to something. Yeah, that would definitely be Kymir. And I thought it also fit like Kymir's uh devotion to Osha, because we
Mm.
only get to see like a glimpse of that in canon, like in the show.
Right.
But yeah, so I really wanted to like expound on that. Like, what if Kymir's so down bad he actually needs to go see Osha in every universe, even though she's practically like different, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did. We get that one scene in episode 8 when she's kind of like goes into her trance and then he's trying to get the helmet off of her and you can kind of see it, but you don't we don't really get to live in it the way that we want to. So that's one reason why this fic was so amazing, was because you really let us just live in that emotion of Kamir really just yearning, being a yearner. We need Yerner Kamir.
Yeah.
How bad can I make it like that? I did want to ask. I don't know how into the MCU you are, but if you follow Strange's MC, Doctor Strange's MCU,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of similar to. He's like searching for his lover in every universe. So I don't know if that's something that was inspiring for you too.
Mm, actually, I don't know like if that's a show or I don't know that show at all. But I've had a comment where they mention a similar thing because apparently, like multiverse themes like this is so common, and there's another show like this where what's this called? They like try to find people in
Do you mean Loki?
universes, and then they have like just a limited time. So yeah, I feel like there are a lot of other shows like this, and I personally haven't watched all, but whenever people mention like this, I put it in my watch list because I really, really need to see. Like, so yeah, it's not inspired by that, but there are a lot of shows that have this theme also.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there multiverse searching is pretty common, but we like to see it with our characters. You know, we want to see it with Kamir and
It's the
Yeah.
hot.
Ocean. Yeah. What was your favorite scene to write in this?
Um, my favorite scene to write is. Sorry. Can I just turn off my alarm? Wait, my alarm just went off.
Oh, go for it. Go for it. And while she's away, I just yeah, you know, I don't really do so well with like the tragic stories, but her story is like really beautiful and it's worth reading if you haven't read it yet and you're listening to this and you're like, I need to read this story. Go ahead. It's linked
Okay, I'm
somewhere
back.
in like
What
one of
was
the
the question?
threads.
Sorry.
Oh hey, welcome back. Yeah, I was just telling people go ahead and read your story. Even if they're averse to tragedy like I am, it's really beautiful and it's worth reading. Um, what was your favorite scene to write in this?
Favorite scene to write? Oh, um, I wrote uh the date scene. Like that's the first time they meet in this
Mm-hmm.
universe. Like Osha was on a date. Osha was supposed to be on a blind date set up with her sister,
Mm,
but she doesn't know the guy yet because I don't know, May never told her. So Kymir steps up and they're on a date, and I think my most favorite detail is in that because
mm-hmm.
um, it's when they're eating and they have like different food, and when they start eating, Kymir like takes the mushrooms out of his pasta, and I
Mm,
set it up for later because um Osha was going to ask for his pasta, but she doesn't like mushrooms, and
mm,
he knows this because
mhm,
it's like a constant detail never universe. So I really had fun writing that because um, I saw people uh, like those trends where girlfriends ask for their boyfriend's food or something like that. And
yeah,
there were times when I watched that trend and boyfriends would get annoyed or whatever. But
uh-huh.
I think that if Kymir were the boyfriend and Osha asked for his food, he would immediately give it and he'd know that
Oh,
she would.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. I think you nailed it. Absolutely.
Yeah, so I really liked like setting that up and Osha asking him like, "Oh, you don't like mushrooms also?" And then and yeah, so and Kylie responding like something like that or whatever.
So sweet. I love it. I love those little
Yeah,
details like that that you put in.
it's such a small detail. It's such a small detail, but it's such a beautiful little detail. I love it.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Mhm. I have no idea where their sound effects are coming from, but I love them. So-
It's me.
I don't
I
want
got
to
the
shout.
soundboard
oh,
open.
thank you, Zay.
You're welcome. I'm
That's
having too much fun. Sorry.
so cool. But yeah, yeah.
So are
I
we.
think it's just the right amount of fun, honestly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Um, what do you want the audience to take away from this read?
Mm, I really just want them to see that in every universe that they read, even though this one's
Mm,
sad, there's always
mm,
going to be that uh, devotion of Kymir towards Osha,
mm,
and that uh, you know, there's something about the story being they know they're doomed and he can't save her, but he has
mm,
to try. And I think
mm,
that's I want the audience to see that when they put uh, Kymir in that situation,
mhm,
he's going to act accordingly. Okay, like he's going
mhm.
to uh, do what we expect him to do, which is just basically be down bad Kymir, like love Osha.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I really want the audience to see or like um uh I guess pick up on the emphasis that
Mhm.
Chimere is in every universe. Yeah, just really a guy who loves OSHA, and
Mm.
we see that in another way here. Actually, we see that in two ways here because I also wrote if oh my god, I'm so sorry for those like have not read the fic, but I wrote Chimere here as a dad and
Mhm.
Osha as a mom. So
Mhm.
yeah, you get to see that in two ways, like how Chimere loves Osha and how Chimere uh, just is doomed to love Osha for the rest of his life.
Mm. Yeah, so tragic. It's so amazing. Um, tell us about what you're working on next.
Okay, so if you follow me on like Blue Sky,
Mm.
um, you would know that I have a few works that are I have already like written ones ready to publish, but the
Mhm.
ones I'm mainly working on right now are to fix, which is first Camgirl OSHA. So
Mm.
yeah, the thing is I have it like and then I scrapped it and then I wrote again, whatever, because I'm so indecisive. But
Mhm.
yeah, so I have Camgirl OSHA and also an OSHA mirror flipped AU. It flipped like the movie The Childhood End because I there's no like childhood love, puppy love tags in the with their ship. So I'm
Uh-huh.
thinking maybe I'll do it.
Nice. I love it. I love both those ideas. I hope you write both of them and many more. And please stick around and feel free to chime in to anyone's discussion. Everybody give a round of applause to Heil. Really love her.
Thank you.
Amazing. All right. Our next fic writer that we have is Fairy Rings and Wings.
Hi there.
Hey, how is it going? I loved your fic. As I've been saying to everybody, I loved your fic.
Thank
I
you.
really loved the fic. Yes. Um, so I feel like I could spend all day just like in this world that you wrote for your fic Starlight, which I will link to the space in just a second. Was very intense. And I am big on the High Republic world that we got to see in the Acolyte. And so this was really cool. Everything that you did here. It just made me, just brought me into that High Republic world and made me feel like I was there and I was like all about it. So please tell us a little bit about the fic and why did you write it?
So Starlight is it's kind of like a canon divergence story that explores the what if Osha and Chimere never left the Jedi Order and actually had
Mm-hmm.
opportunity to meet and how their relationship would develop under those circumstances. It also explores like the struggles that Osha encounters during her time in the Order, because although in
Mm-hmm.
the movie we know, like she says that she left of her own accord, I do feel it's more a situation of she jumped ship before she was pushed. So it explores what those
Mm-hmm.
difficulties that pushed her could have been. Um, at the same time, we also have Chimere, who's it explores his role in the Jedi, but in the same
Mm-hmm.
time, he's also secretly still a Sith, trying to seduce Osha to the dark side,
Mm-hmm.
while also trying to do this in his Jedi persona.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately for Osha, she finds out that she has a force bond with the stranger. So it's a bit of a messy, complicated relationships going on there. Um,
Yes.
but it was inspired by episode 6, when Osha realizes Chimera must have been a Jedi, and she points out,
Mhm.
"Well, I've never heard of you." And that line made me realize, oh my goodness, these two characters, they had potential for actually meeting if, like, they could
Mm,
have been Jedi at the same time. And if Chimera hadn't left, then they could have been like Jedi together fighting, the dark side. And considering how drawn to each other they were in the show, from the moment they met, they seemed to be very drawn to each other. It made me wonder
mhm,
if they had met in the Jedi Academy, how different could their lives have been? Because both these characters, they seem to both yearn deeply for sort of deeper connections, and maybe they could have
mhm,
found that in each other, and maybe it could have put them on a different path. Because I do feel in canon they're probably aiming more towards a tragic ending, whereas this could have been different.
mhm. Yeah, amazing. Just there's so much potential for a story, and you really tapped into it. I thought you really like went full into it and gave us the potential story that we didn't get to see if they had met at the Jedi Academy. This is so cool. Um, Tell us about your inspirations behind this. Are you a big Star Wars fan in general, or like what other things are you into that was inspiring this?
So I was a big Star Wars fan back in the sort of like the Last Jedi and stuff, but I sort of left
Hmm.
Star Wars because of the toxicity and stuff. But
Well, that makes sense. Makes sense.
but I was inspired by Reylo, obviously.
Yeah.
um, and just a lot of dark romance stories like Forbidden Games or the Night World series, Vampire Diaries, as well as a lot of like
Hmm.
darker mythology stories like Hades and Persephone. So those
Hmm.
types of stories influenced me a lot.
Nice. Yeah, I gotta love that Hades and Persephone story. I know there's one. Is it like Laura Olympus that does Hades Persephone right now? I love.
Yeah, it is Lord Olympus.
Yeah, yeah, that's great.
I was
It's
loving your
amazing.
Nashuri fix. I was loving your Nashuri stuff. That stuff was really good too.
Oh my goodness, you read
mm,
Nashuri! That's so nice to know.
Yeah, you had some
amazing.
really good ones in there.
Thank you.
So cool. Tell us about your favorite scene to write in this fic.
So I think my favourite scene was when Osha finally manages to infiltrate the stranger's dreams, because throughout the fics,
Mm-hmm.
he's able to get into her dreams through the Force bond, where he's trying to
Mm-hmm.
manipulate or seduce her to the dark side. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but then Osha figures out how to do it. So it's that switch in the power dynamic where she's able to get one up in him and show that she can make a stand for herself. She's not completely helpless. But
Yeah.
what I also liked was it was a moment when she finally gets to see the stranger more vulnerable, because until that point
Mm-hmm.
he's pretty much been this menacing, shadowy figure, her enemy, this villain, this faceless villain. But then she sees, although she doesn't see his face, what she sees is him
Mm-hmm.
younger, a young boy, on his knees, getting battered by this storm, and he is distraught and heartbroken. And it's because he wants to do good, he wants to help people, but because of the
Mm-hmm.
limitations of the Jedi, he hasn't been able to. So it was,
Mm-hmm.
I liked sort of exploring the flaws of the Jedi and seeing how these might be reasons why Chimera might have actually turned against the Jedi. So I think
Mm-hmm.
that was probably my favorite scene to write.
Mm. Fantastic. I love it. Um, what did you want the audience to take away from the read?
I think one of the things I wanted them to take away, well, I feel like most Acolyte fans probably feel the same, was because one of the things I saw a lot of the sort of haters say was that Osha turned to the dark side. Just she saw a hot guy and went, "Oh yeah, I'm going to the dark side." where it's like
Mm.
the story emphasizes it's never one moment, it's like a lot. There's a quote I wrote where it's the fall of a Jedi is never one singular moment, it's a compilation of many. And I
Mm-hmm.
feel like that's what I get to explore in the fact that from pretty much the moment her coven was destroyed, then even going through the Jedi Academy, everything that she endured there, and when she leaves and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
there's so many reasons that Osha was she was basically like getting eroded away until finally that's what sort of drew her to the dark side. So it's not one moment a week,
Mm-hmm.
it's a lot of things. I think that's one of the
Yes.
main things I want them to take away. Um, and probably just to feel a little bit unsettled because it is a story of corruption. It is, I think I've hinted quite obviously through it what's going to happen. So
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be a more like they are going to get together, but it is
Mm-hmm.
as stiff. It's not a traditional happy ending where they remain in the light. It's going to get dark for their enemies, basically. So a little bit unsettled.
I really think you pulled both those things off, especially the unsettled part, because there were some scenes where I was like, oh, this is making me feel unsettled, but like in a good way. It's just definitely like, oh, this is an interesting feeling. So yeah, you nailed it.
I'm glad to hear that.
Love it. Absolutely. Absolutely. And tell us about what you're working on next.
Next, once I finished Starlight, I was hoping to maybe expand some of my drabbles that I've written for Oshimer. Maybe my Mermaid AU. It was
Mm-hmm.
because it was inspired by. You've probably seen it. Anonymous Minx did a beautiful Oshimer piece where it was Osha was a mermaid, Chimere had this white blowy shirt on, and I'm like, I have to write something for that. So I'm hoping to maybe expand on that.
Ooh. Ooh. That sounds very exciting. I love this comment from Tinak. They said, wow, this space is so inspiring and makes me want to write. Yay. So y'all are very
Do it.
inspiring. Amazing.
Agreed.
I love it. All right. Well, thank you. I hope you stick around in case like anyone has questions that come up, and feel free to also chime in with other people's discussions. We have one person left, which we're gonna do first, but then his audio cut out, so we're gonna come back around to JCW Dad. Everybody, please give a round of applause to Fairy Rings and Wings for her awesome discussion of her fic Starlight, which is really good. And please go read it right now if you haven't read it
Absolutely wish I had been first. I don't want to follow this. I feel really out of my depth here.
You set
Just
yourself
throwing that
up.
out there.
Yes, you set yourself up.
Yeah, thank you all for being here. I love a lot of your fics, and hearing you guys talk about it makes it even better. This has been a really cool space.
Mm-hmm. So good. So good. All right. So coming around to JCW Dad, who is in the Save the Acolyte crew. So he's one of our very own. And actually, this space, if I remember correctly, this was your idea, right? To have a fanfic writer space. So thank you for this idea.
Yeah, I was reading a Satal drop, and I was like, you know, what would be cool is if we all got together and talked about it. So thank you, Satal. This is I guess it's my idea, but it was from you.
Yes, absolutely. So cool. All right. So your fic is the Acolyte continuations of a fan, which is also badly needed because we don't have season 2 yet. So.
Yeah. And that's primarily, I know you're going to ask what my inspiration is. I think that's primarily my inspiration. Like, I've written fics in the past. I haven't been writing a lot lately, just for various reasons. But the Acolyte kind of re-inspired me to do so. And part of it is just that the show was so great. But part of it also, I think, I'm not sure that I would have put pen to paper if it hadn't been for the potential cancellation. So
Yeah,
that's
that
really
was
what.
was a gut punch.
Yeah, for sure. So that's ultimately what made me want to write it, and you know, it is what it's advertised as. It's just things that I thought would be cool to see in a second season.
Go into some depth for us. Tell us a little bit more about what you wrote about here, and a little bit about what happens and what goes on in this fic.
Well, so the story is it's just continuing the Acolyte. I don't exactly, like I said, I don't exactly know where the inspiration came from. I got an inspiration for that first scene where Osha and Chimera are training on Boldemnik, and then Plagueis comes in and kind of wrecks shop on him. And I thought it was just going to be that little teaser one-shot kind of thing, and then it just sort of evolved from there. Like, scenes just kind of kept coming out, and I was like, all right, well, let me just write a whole short story. And then, you know, by the end of the short story, I was feeling like it was more like an episode in a larger work, you know, like a chapter in a larger work. And so I was like, well, let me just see how far I can go. And I'm about 5 episodes in right now, and I've still got inspiration coming. But it's just, you know, like talking to everybody about the show, thinking about the show, watching the show. You know, there are things that I knew I wanted to see in a second season. Osha and Chimera training, you know, Osha embracing her darkness and learning about her power. You know, I wanted to see that. I knew I wanted to see May's journey, having to find her memories again. And I wanted to learn more about the witches. And also, this is a Sith show, so I wanted to dive more into the Sith background as much as possible. And if you guys have been following along with the fic, you know that in this last episode, I kind of, you know, I didn't want to take too many liberties creatively, but obviously it's a narrative, so you have to. And so in this last episode, I connected Chimera and Soul a little more deeply than just being Jedi in the past together, you know. I got into I'll go ahead and spoil it for you if
go ahead.
if you guys don't mind. But yeah, Soul and Say, it's not an uncommon theory, I don't think. But Soul and Chimera are brothers, and so Soul gets taken to, you know, he's born first. He's the older brother. He gets taken to the Jedi, and then their parents have like a replacement baby, basically. And he turns out to be really powerful in the Force too, and they struggle with the whole idea of having to send him off again as well. And so, you know, I wanted to connect Soul back to, you know, kind of, you know, how they show him to like have this like pathological need to be a savior to younger people. To me, that kind of connects back to his relationship to his younger brother in this story, in my story. You know, and that's the main thing I wanted to do writing this was be true to the characters that Leslie and her team put out, because I you know, from top to bottom, you know, major to minor characters, they're all really well done characters, really compelling characters that mean something to the narrative. So I didn't want to ruin that, and I also just wanted to be true to whatever they had laid out, like thematically. So I'm trying to do that as much as possible. I hope you guys are enjoying, if you are following along, and I hope you enjoy where it ends up going, because I definitely have some more reveals coming.
And I love how you do it. It is like you're writing for the show. Like, you bring in all the characters. It's not just focused on a few characters. We have Vernestra come in. We have May come in. You know, you're focused on having a bunch of characters come in, exploring everybody.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's about, you know, entertainment for one. You know, like, I typically write for me, but I hope if anybody out there does read it, that they're entertained. You know, that they come away having enjoyed it at least. But the other thing that really, I think, pushed me to publish this one, because I've never really published my work before, what pushed me to publish this one is if I can do this, you know, like if I can write a story that's interesting to me and interesting to a few other people, I'm just a dude, you know, like I'm just a dude doing this in my free time. Like that first scene, I just got the inspiration and I stayed up all night while my family was asleep and I banged it out, and like that's like, I'm not a professional, I'm not an expert, I'm not somebody who's been doing this for a long time. Like, so if I can write a story that's halfway interesting, and so many other people can write stories that are interesting, like the other stories that we presented here, you know, like, why would you not give Leslie another chance to do it right? You know, because it's, to me, that's the sign of great art, when it inspires other people, you know. And like, there's so many creatives, like cosplayers, writers, artists, all sorts of people creating based off of the show. So like, that was really, I think, the main motivating factor for me posting it, was like, this is what we could have, except better, because professionals would be doing it. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I was gonna ask you, do you have aspirations of working for Disney?
I mean, not Disney. I have toyed with the idea of being a screenwriter throughout throughout my life. I keep coming back to it. So I don't know. We'll see. But right now I got family life to focus on. So
Absolutely.
So we'll see what happens with that. But
absolutely,
yeah, I do love writing.
And tell us about some of your other inspirations too. So, were there other like TV show styles, books, anything that kind of tied into how you were writing the story?
For this one, it was pure Star Wars.
Nice.
You know, the Acolyte mainly, but also, you know, just because of how Leslie pulled in so many different elements from the lore and from legends and from other stuff, you know, I wanted to do that as well, because I felt like it would be necessary to, if I'm trying to be true to what she was doing, then I wanted to do that. I wanted to do that too. And I do have, you know, I have some Star Wars knowledge, as I've shared with you guys. I wouldn't necessarily call myself an expert, but I definitely have some deeper knowledge. So I wanted to put as much of that in as possible. Pulled kind of, you know, I'm doing it kind of different. I'm doing it like sort of like literature, but like from the perspective of somebody watching a show, right? So like, I kind of pulled from some of my favorite Star Wars authors, Matthew Stover, Claudia Gray, Luceno, and Zahn. But it's hard to translate those writing styles, because those are written stories for the written medium, you know. So it's hard to translate some of those techniques over the way that I'm writing it, you know. But as far as shows, no, like I'm trying to emulate the feel of the Acolyte as much as possible.
Amazing. What was your favorite scene to write so far?
I think my favorite one was that first one. The scene where Osha and Keimer are training, and then Plagueis comes in, because it just, like I said, I don't know where it came from. Like, it just happened, and I just had to vomit it out onto the page. So you know, I think that was probably my favorite one to write, because it literally just came out. And then like from there, all these other scenes, like, they're coming pretty naturally. I'm letting them come pretty naturally, but like, it's still, I'm thinking through it, you know. And like that first scene, it was just like, I just have something I need to get out. So I think that's probably my favorite scene. There's a scene coming up this week in episode 4 that's really cool, that I think everybody's going to be like, oh my God, what the hell? But also, I really enjoyed this last episode that I did, episode 3, because I've written a few Star Wars fics, but I stay away from the Jedi and the Force. Like, I don't know why, I just don't trust myself. An entirely High Republic Jedi story.
You did, your audio did cut out a little bit there, but I think we did catch that you're doing a High Republic story.
This episode
Cutting out
I did
again.
because it was all centered on the Jedi.
Awesome. What do you want the audience to take away from the read?
Like I said, I want them to take away that the Acolyte was badass,
Nice.
and that somebody getting paid to spend time fleshing it out and do a better job than I am should get a chance to do this. You know, like if you enjoyed my story, just imagine what Leslie would actually do with a second season. You know what I'm saying? And also, I just hope you're entertained.
Right.
You know, I hope you read it. You're like, yeah, that was fun. That was a good read.
Awesome. And so you're working on this. Do you have plans for a story after this one?
I'm not working on anything else right now. I do have a couple of other old fics that I'm pondering cleaning up and posting. One that I really enjoyed. I wrote about 10 years ago, right around the Disney sale. I can't remember exactly when, but all about a stormtrooper from Coruscant whose brother dies on the second Death Star, and he goes on like a payback story, tracking down like Han and Akbar and Leia and everybody. And it goes kind of crazy.
Cool, I would
for
read
sure.
that.
So
I love stormtrooper
I'm thinking about
stories.
posting that one.
Yeah, I would read that for sure. Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing about your fic. Everybody give a round of applause to JCW Dad. Love it. And I do want to open up the floor now for, do we have questions from our listeners? You can request to speak or drop a question as a tweet or drop a question in the chat. And Zay, I think, is keeping an eye on the YouTube chat. Let us know what you want to speak. Everybody's still on, all the authors are still on. So what comments, questions do you have, if you have any comments or questions? I don't want to catch them off guard that he knew questions.
Can I
but
jump
probably,
in?
yeah, go for it.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm managing the soundboard, but the last two, JC and Fairy Rings, I'm sorry, it glitched on my end and it's not coming through, but I want y'all to get your applause.
I know, we missed
I'll try
it.
it one more time, but
we missed it. We understand technical difficulties. And there we go.
You know, if you can't have it the fancy way, you just do it the old-fashioned way.
Just the analog.
Yes.
There we go.
I'm so sorry, y'all, but yes.
Thank you guys. That's so cool.
I want to thank everybody again for being here. This was so cool. I wasn't sure if we were going to be able to get anybody to commit, and I'm so glad that we had not only so many writers, but some of my favorites in here. So thank you guys for coming. Thank you for having me, because I don't consider myself a writer necessarily. Like, I write, but you know, like, these people have been doing it. So I appreciate y'all letting me be here.
I say if you write, you're a writer. That's the only, condition.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's cool how much the Acolyte has been inspiring people to write even when they haven't been writing anything. I absolutely love that we've heard that a couple of times during this space, that like, hey, I wasn't writing and I watched this and it got me writing again. So it's a great show. We need more of it.
I basically wrote most of my fics in a sort of high when I just needed to get it off my chest in the middle of the night. So yeah, that is definitely the power of the Acolyte.
Right? It's just like, it just draws so much creativity out of us.
It's an instant cult classic, man. Like, it's got rabid fans, dude. Like, rabid fans.
Yeah, and we're not going anywhere. This is I think this is for life.
Absolutely not. Yeah. I'm sure my wife's ready for me to stop talking about it, but I'm not.
I know. I know. I feel sorry for my followers on social media because before the show came out, I was just when a new geek show comes out, I spend a couple of weeks talking about it and I go back to normal, but not with this one. With this one, it's just been Acolyte all the time. So hopefully they're not too sick of me. I try to mix it up, but it's a good show.
And I just want to add real quick that
Mhm.
I mean, again, I want to echo, these are, you all are so talented and hardworking and creative, and I'm just so glad that you all have been willing to share and just put out what you've been inspired to make from this show. That I don't know, again, I don't know what they put in this show, but this show got everybody creative, and I love that. And
Mhm.
also want to highlight that Angie is in the chat. Barris West Allen has a link to other stories. I know everybody isn't here today,
Mhm.
but there's a link below the space for other recommendations if you want to do some reading.
Nice, super cool. Love that. Oh yeah, I saw that link earlier, but I did not read it. But yeah, a link to so many more fics. 500 works in OSHA X Khmer. Jesus.
Yeah, I absolutely hate y'all for getting me back into AO3 because I don't have time for all this. I'm gonna make time, but I don't have time for all this.
And there's more too. If you like the other ships, they're definitely, you know, we we're respecting y'all. They're represented.
Mm. Anushka said,
Yeah, we were
Oshimir
talking
brain
about.
rot. Oshimir brain rot is real and you can't escape it. It's been staying with me for years. Or it's gonna stay with me for years. Absolutely.
Yeah, we were talking about
Anushka and
Nashuri
I are
earlier.
basically the same person.
There's a bunch of good Nashuri fics on there. Those are some of my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
Fairy Rings has some really good ones.
Yeah. Um, who just spoke up also? Someone just spoke.
I
Yeah.
did. I was just saying that Anushka and I are basically the same person because this brain is not going away.
Yep.
It came on very quickly and it's not going away. It's not going
It's not
away.
going away. It's not going away. It's it's like the that greasy Khmer crack. She can totally be
The best crack in the galaxy.
absolutely.
Wait, there was a crack shot? There was a Chimera crack shot?
We need that in season
Yes,
2, Leslie. We need it.
One can dream.
we do.
We need that greasy Chimera crack in season 2.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Any other comments, questions? You can request to speak if you got something to say. Love everybody who came on to listen and love everybody who's come on to speak. Oh, we got one request here. If I can find it. There we go. Approve, Angie. Yeah, go ahead, Angie.
Hey guys, can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, this is like the first time I've ever spoken on a space, so this is kind of like weird for me. But I just wanted to just talk briefly about like the list. It's actually kind of really fun to see a lot of like writers that I have on the list. Like in this space, I'm like starstruck, if that's possible to be starstruck.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I just wanted to say thank you guys for being so amazing because I'm not a writer, I'm a reader. So I can't have all these fun imaginations. So to have someone else write it and put it out there is just nice to read. And I will say the trajectory has gone down, you know, as like the show's gotten possibly canceled and everyone's getting busy, but for like people still putting works out there is just really exciting, and I'm just excited to continue reading more works. And then also there's
Cool.
probably a new list coming at 550 because I was like, I don't know if we'll reach 600 soon. So yeah.
Oh wow. Amazing. Cool. Thank you, Angie. Any other comments, questions? You can request to speak or drop a comment in the YouTube chat. Got a few more minutes here.
I would just like to say that the Oshamir community is such an amazing community. It's the first time I've actually felt like we're all friends and we talk to each other, and all the amazing fics and fan art and theories posts. It's just such a cool place to be right now.
I love that. So good, so pure, so pure. Look what you did, Leslie. Look what you did for us.
I also want to say I think it's pretty cool that like the energy was so high while the show was still running that even Leslie has read some of these fictions. I know she mentioned in an interview that she read or she saw like the first one that was ever posted in the Oshimir tag. So I know some people might feel weird about that, but I just think it's cool. I mean, it's been so cool to just read from all of you guys.
That's fantastic. I do see a comment from Danny Bug in the YouTube chat, which I have opened this time. Yes. She says, my comments for Fairy that I'm fangirling even harder knowing that she was inspired by LJ Smith. I don't know who LJ Smith is, but I will take that for the chat. Fairy, can you talk about that? Who's LJ Smith?
And she wrote a lot of dark romance stories. So she was the creator of Vampire Diaries.
Oh,
I think most people are familiar with that one. Forbidden Games, which is like a shadow man who tricks people into games for their souls, and he falls in love with a girl, and it's all very sort of messed up romances. I like them; they're really good, but very dark writer. Unfortunately, she hasn't finished
amazing.
the series, so
Danny Bug also added Starlight was her first ever fic that she read for Oshimir. So lots of good stuff going on there. All right. So I think we're just about gonna wrap up. If anyone else has any last things to say, you can request to speak or speak up now, but we're gonna wrap up pretty much. I do want to thank everyone for coming on.
I just want to say real quick,
There we go.
to all the writers, to all the writers, and to everybody listening, keep writing. And if you don't write, try it. Screw it. Go ahead. I want to hear what you got to say too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hope we get a whole bunch of new writers because of this space. I saw, some people saying in the chat that they're feeling inspired to write. So let's get those fics. I want to get your fics too. We might have a round two in about a month or so. This has been great. This has been so fun. I really love talking to the writers. Thank you for sticking around. Thank you for coming on. And we want the show back. Disney, Star Wars, Lucasfilm, Filoni, whoever else. We want it back. You got to give us to us because we deserve the show. It's a great show and we need it. And we're all going to tune in. It'll be double the viewership of last time. Just look at Amazon Prime. Look at the Lord of the Rings series. They're doing more. You give people a chance to tune into the show, and then you get so many more viewers. So people have tuned in. They've watched it. They know how awesome it is. We're all gonna show up for season 2, so you better go ahead and renew it.
Listen, TV is my favorite story medium, and it takes me months to watch stuff sometimes.
There we go.
I mean, I'm going out of my way to try to watch stuff, and it still takes me a long time. And there's people who are just watching the show, The Acolyte, now because they just got around to it, And so, everybody, not just Disney and Lucasfilm, but all the streamers, all these companies need to understand that things are different now. We don't sit around at 7 o'clock for, you know, the premiere of this episode of this show. Like, we don't, that's not the thing anymore. You know, we watch it when we want to because we can. And they got to give these shows time to percolate, because this show is picking up steam still now after being canceled and being off the air for what, like 5 months now.
Yeah.
It's still gaining now.
I see posts on here and the other app every day. Where it's
Yes.
like, wow, I just started watching. Wow, I just finished. Wow, I like this. Wow, I don't understand it. Every day, I'm not kidding y'all, I have a list.
Yes.
It's going to continue happening because people, like I said, people just watch when they can, specifically because they can.
Yes, and that's why we got to keep the fandom alive for those new viewers and for ourselves, because we love the show. But those new viewers are going to come and be like, hey, I need to talk about this to somebody. We got to be like, hey, I'm here. You can talk to me. I'm here. Don't worry. I know you're late to it, but I got you. So,
That's why sharing is so important, because you never know what'll be somebody's entry point. So
absolutely.
keep doing what you're doing.
Absolutely. All right. I want to give a special thanks to
I'm like an Acolyte's witness up here.
Special thanks to JCW Dad and Zay for collecting the writers for the space. Thank you to Zay for moderating the YouTube chat. And thanks again to everybody for coming on. This has been great. And we are headed out. So that is all we have for you. May the force be